Experience the future of packaging and processing up close and in action. Explore groundbreaking innovations, engage with hands-on solutions, and connect with the experts transforming the industry. See how these advancements can revolutionize your products, production lines, and business. It all starts here. Don't miss out. Register today at packexpolasvegas.com/unpackedpod. You're listening to Unpacked with PMMI, where we share the latest packaging and processing industry insights, research, and innovations to help you advance your business. Hi, and welcome to another edition of Unpacked with PMMI. I'm your host, Sean Riley. Even before the current pandemic, healthcare and the ability to obtain good healthcare has been in the headlines for over a decade. Without delving into politics, the ability to obtain affordable healthcare and maintain a healthy workforce is crucial from a business standpoint. And frankly, it's just as important to maintain some standard of humanity. With that in mind, PMMI, as an active member of the Council of Manufacturing Associations at NAM, the National Association of Manufacturers, collaborated with NAM to offer Fortune 500 level benefits via NAM Healthcare. Today we are joined by Paul Hartgen, Vice President, Member and Business Services at NAM, and Wendee Wood, a partner at Mercer Health and Benefits. Together, they discuss what NAM Healthcare is, who is eligible, and how small and medium-sized manufacturing companies can obtain this life-saving benefit. So with that, we are very excited to welcome Paul and Wendee to the podcast. Welcome, Paul. Welcome, Wendee.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sean.
So healthcare is always a headline issue, and it's probably never been talked about more than it's being talked about right now for a litany of reasons. But with all that in mind, for our listeners, I understand that NAM is putting together and has put together kind of a healthcare plan that can work for not only our members, but people within the manufacturing community. So I guess with that kind of out there, maybe Paul, you could start us out with what is NAM Healthcare?
Yeah, thanks, Sean. Yeah, sort of as you alluded to, healthcare has been one of those issues that's been on our surveys and probably many associations for years about how can you help us get better coverage for our employees and reduce the cost of that benefit. And as we think about workforce, it's also how do we help attract and train that awesome workforce? So healthcare kind of fits two of those things, one on a business operations side, but then also on the workforce side, which are actually related. So part of our charge at the NAM is to how do we best advance the success of the more than 12 million men and women who make things in America and their families as well. And so what we set out to do is build an association health plan that meets the unique healthcare needs of the manufacturing community. But we also built the model so that we could reach some scalability with all of our 350 trade associations that are also members of the NAM, because it's, as you guys know, everybody probably listening, the manufacturing community is a really large part of the U.S. economic engine. So there's enough opportunity for all of us to do a great job. And we put this together, and we're just going out on a national level to do the best job we can to help small manufacturers.
And it's interesting that unfortunately during, this pandemic that we're living through, I'm pretty sure that when this comes out, I don't think that will be rectified. So I can allude to that, that manufacturing has kind of gotten some of the press, for lack of a better word, that it kind of deserves, because we do provide such a crucial role to, keeping everything moving, keeping everything, foods, medications, things in our economy and in our industry, kind of keep things going. So I know that the, National Association of Manufacturing plays a big role in that. So what made you guys decide to take on something like healthcare? Was it just kind of as something else you guys felt you needed to do? Was it because healthcare is such an issue? Is it just something you could speak to with that?
Yeah. So the NAM under the leadership of Jay Timmons, our CEO, part of his vision was and one of the questions he asked is, how do we better serve the manufacturing sector on the operational side? The NAM's really known for policy. That's really what we do. But when we started focusing on the operations side, we looked at what pain points can we mitigate that help the industry move better, stronger, faster. If a small manufacturer has a better workforce and a healthier workforce and their family members are taken care of, boy, does that increase the efficiency, of the whole supply chain, right? And so The large manufacturers use a lot of smalls and mids to help them make the product. So it's more efficient. The healthier the supply chain is, the better it is for U.S. manufacturers. So we actually started looking at a couple different models. The new AHP came out in June of 18, I guess. We said, oh, we should probably look at that. But then we said, after we got into the discussion, we ended up pivoting and saying, the old AHP is alive and well. And Wendee will talk a little bit about this. So let's do some research. Let's figure out what this looks like. And we're going to need some really big partners to pull this all together. And we're going to have to leverage the association community to go to market. So can we do all this? And then we kind of backed out, what does this look like? And that's kind of, obviously the rest of the story.
Right. Now, again, the National Association of Manufacturing is huge. I've seen commercials on TV. I see you guys, with pushing for legislation and stuff like that. So, but I can't imagine you had that much background in healthcare. So you had to bring in partners, which would be companies like Mercer, which is why Wendee was so nice to join us. So I guess, Wendee, my first question is how does this work with covering the entire U.S.? Like, does it for all 50 states? Is everybody buying into it? Because I know the healthcare can be kind of confusing when you talk about it from a national level.
Sean, that is a terrific point. So what we have really done is worked through and navigated, while there is a federal kind of overarching rule that is leveraged, which Paul mentioned, which is called the Association Health Plan Pathway 1, it still says that the individual states get to regulate these plans, and therein lies the complexity. So with NAM Healthcare, we are operating the large group association health plan in about half of the states. We continue to work with those states that have an unfavorable regulatory environment to try and turn them more favorable. But I'll be honest, the success is somewhat limited. So what we have done in partnership with the NAM and United Healthcare, the carrier, is put in an offering where it's really a small group health solution in those states that simply are not favorable or prohibit association health plans. We have that offering, in just under 20 states as well. So when you look at the footprint, we're operating in a little over 40 states today for NAM Healthcare.
Okay, so we're getting close to coverage, across most of the country, which is awesome. Now, you guys have both kind of touched on it. I'm sure that I'm not the only one, but some of our listeners won't know either. What's the difference between an AHP and I guess the affinity plan that I've heard?
Absolutely. So great question. So one of the primary benefits of an association health plan, which I reference as an AHP, is that it enables us to pull these small employers together into a large group plan. And so what it does is it kind of leverages the buying power of the entire manufacturing community into a large insurance plan. And what it enables us to do is expand the way in which we price and underwrite these small manufacturers. And so for those that really have a favorable demographic, if you think of low utilizers of healthcare, which typically manufacturing companies are, it enables us to price them more appropriately than what they might see in the small group market. So when you think AHP, think everybody is in this common plan together, strength of buying power, plans that really perform and put you on a competitive edge with a Fortune 500 employer. When you think affinity small group, each individual employer in those instances is required to have their own individual group plan. So they aren't able to kind of get that buying power leverage. However, we are, through our Mercer platform, bringing them the Fortune 500 experience. So the same employee enrollment experience for their employees that our jumbo organizations, our jumbo manufacturers who have 2,000 employees receive. So there are benefits to both, but definitely the large group association health plan gives the overall buying advantage and power. But again, because of that state regulatory environment, unfortunately today, maybe someday in the future, we're not able to offer that plan in all states.
So to simplify, there's companies, like you said, that have 1,000 employees that have that they can bring to the table when they're trying to get insurance. Whereas another bonus of being a part of an association is, as a group, you can go out and try to get that insurance with, the added employees from each of the companies kind of adding up to get you a better rate. I mean, would that be a simple way for me to understand it?
That's a great way to explain it, Sean. Really helping to put you in that large group market, the large group buying power. Think of all of those employees and their family members coming together to form that pool of insurance.
Very cool.
If I can add to that, so we had three tenets kind of going into this. One is to help our small and mid-sized manufacturers purchase health insurance if they're a large manufacturer, and that's what Wendee kind of went through. Provide a benefit that will help members attract and retain that awesome workforce, and create a first-class member and employee experience that equals that of Fortune 500. So those are three of our pillars, I guess, that we refer back to. We're really big on that experience, and I'll talk a little bit about Mercer, but so those three things kind of came together, and it's kind of what our charge is every time we go to market on this product.
While you're, talking about Mercer, what made NAM decide Mercer? I have to think there's other people out there that you could have chosen.
Yeah, you're right. There are a ton of great companies out there. I think when we knew we wanted to go national, we knew we wanted to integrate this with all of our trade association partners. So we knew we were going to need, kind of a player that kind of could do that for us. And when you get to that level, and you kind of got the A teams of the broker community, you're kind of, you're looking at very specific things. And one of the things we looked at was the fit, the culture that Mercer had as it relates to the NAM. Could they work with us? Would they be part of this? Would they own this? So that was key one for us. The ability to go to market for the association community. Mercer has been working with associations for about 67, 68 years, and they have over 400 clients that are in the association community. So what we would want to do is put the help on going to market with Mercer in partnership with each association. So why is that important? Well, we can't just send a toolkit to any association that wants to work with us and say, hey, go crazy. So what they do is they work with a person at each association, build a website, put together a marketing plan, social media, and the association uses Mercer's knowledge to go to market. So they pick the right size manufacturer in the right NACE code in the right state to go to market. So when you add all those things together, we got that true partner we were looking for that would help us, really scale this product to make sure we were best serving the association and the manufacturing community.
And again, I don't know enough about healthcare other than like the pieces that I read in the newspapers and the magazines, because I'm that guy that still reads those. But again, then how does United Healthcare step in? Like, how do they become the carrier? How does that process work?
Yeah, so great question. So that's where we leverage Mercer's data on manufacturing. So using their data, we put together what this model might look like. And then, like any business, we went to market. And Mercer went to market for us. I think we had about 10 carriers that were interested. That got boiled down with Mercer's help to 3. We met with all 3 of them over 2 days, learned a lot about the insurance world. But really, at the end of the day, the one that really stood out to everybody at the NAM was United Healthcare. They came in with a plan. This wasn't their first time doing this. They were ready to go that day. In fact, the person who was actually in that discussion at NAM in DC actually eventually became our national account rep just for this product, Kim Hunter. She's great. So, working with Mercer, we were able to go to market strategically in the right way and get a carrier that really kind of gets it. We have a 5-year exclusivity with them to work directly with the manufacturing community. So they're very much vested in making this a success as well. So again, another partner to bring to what we're trying to do so we can scale this and do the best job possible for U.S. manufacturers.
It's a real collaboration. I like that. Wendee, this might be a question for you, and it's something I was thinking as I've been listening to these answers, is I know, especially with the end of Generation X and the millennials and the next generations that are coming in, that sometimes the package that a company is offering is as big a deal as, just salary. Kind of in the old days, it might have been, how much am I going to make? And now it seems to be, all the other things are just as important, healthcare, things like that. Does the plan offer things, besides health insurance?
Absolutely, Sean. So the health insurance program is super robust. There's a ton of options to choose from, but it also includes some other products that either the employer can choose to pay for, or they can just give access to their employees and their employees can pay 100% of it. So those products are such as dental insurance, vision insurance. There's also a basic life insurance up to $25,000 where the employer can provide that benefit. They pay for all of it for those employees. We do find when you are competing for talent, and Paul speaks about workforce, having a competitive benefits program is critical. It is a key decision factor for employees when they're determining who they want to work for this day and age.
And Sean, one thing that's so cool about Mercer too is we had to launch this with a set package, right? But there's a lot of other things that we are talking about because we're getting input from the industry about where they feel their needs are. And I'll just throw it out there because it's entertaining, but like pet insurance, that doesn't seem like, well, that's not really important. Well, actually, believe it or not, it seems to be. So it's like the cool thing about what we've built is we can keep building this based on what's best for this industry. And our first goal was to get this launch, which we have. But now we're starting to develop regional markets for the healthcare insurance overall, like in Detroit and Chicago. I think we launched a couple of weeks ago, Wendee. So we're able to keep building this to continue to make sure we focus on creating a great experience and a great product for the industry.
That's fantastic. And I know that Gabby, our producer, is a huge fan of her dog, so she might be interested in that pet insurance portion. Because again, that's not something that I was thinking about when I was looking for jobs. I'm not going to say how long ago that was. Okay, so we have all this great information, and it has been, and it's been really enlightening. Who's in charge? Who oversees the program? Who makes sure, dots the I's, cross the T's, make sure everything works?
The NAM is the plan sponsor. However, one of the requirements of any large group association health plan is that it needs to be governed by employers that are actually utilizing the health insurance. So there's a governance committee that's comprised of participating employers. So think small manufacturers who are actually using their benefits for their employees, who can be more in touch with the offering than that. They're truly overseeing the program and making the decisions on the program. Mercer helps to facilitate that process. We drive the governance committee meetings, we provide the agendas, we provide thought leadership and things to think about, as well as input of what we're hearing from the manufacturing community. But it's actually small manufacturing companies that are truly overseeing the program and help driving it, of course, with the stewardship of the NAM, our other association partners, and then Mercer as well.
That's fantastic. I've hit everything that I can think of that I need to know about NAM healthcare and you're working with Mercer. I don't know if there's anything that either Paul or Wendee you feel like I may have missed that you want to touch on.
No, just that, we've all talked about doing something for years in the healthcare space, many associations that I've been part of, and we've definitely put something together. We like what we put together, and now it's just about getting more recognition in the market that, your trade association you've been a member of for 30 years now offering an awesome health insurance benefit for you and your employees. And I think, that with these podcasts and getting the word out is really, really helpful for us driving what our mission is and what we're trying to accomplish.
Absolutely. And Paul, just to echo that, a couple of early success stories that we've seen, Sean, we had one small manufacturer that saved almost $178,000 a year on their health insurance by moving to NAM Healthcare. We had another that was just under $70,000. So the savings can be extremely impactful when you think of our current economic times.
Sure. And you're going to, you need to have the health insurance anyway, so you might as well get it at a rate that, is going to be, cost effective like that. That's really impressive.
Let me just add one more thing. It's namhealthcare.com is the website, but we don't have time on this podcast, but there's been a lot that the NAM Healthcare has responded for around COVID-19 for employers. So, it's just very relevant, very timely, but because we're with the right organizations, we're able to pivot when the needs arise.
That's fantastic. And that's something that maybe we can revisit at a later date with, a separate podcast, because, we're in a time when healthcare, like we said, and keep repeating, is being used probably more so than ever. With that, I want to thank you both for taking time out of your busy days to come on here with us. And hopefully we can get this turnaround and get this out to our listeners so they can get some great information.
Thank you, Sean.
Thank you, Sean.
Please rate, review, and subscribe. To do that, go to the iTunes podcast or Spotify app on your phone and search for Unpacked with PMMI.